The IRS could be getting paid to watch sexually explicit content to determine whether OnlyFans accounts apply for or qualify for the whole no tax on tip situation. Because it turns out that pornographic material does not qualify under this new tax law. And so, believe it or not, I mean, I don't personally spend a lot of time on OnlyFans, so I didn't know this, but OnlyFans isn't just creators who put out sexually explicit content. There are chefs on there apparently, which is like the most shocking thing I've heard in my life. But Cenk, what are your 2 cents?
Yeah, so amazing facts in this story. I'm a total boomer on OnlyFans. I know nothing about it. I read it for the articles. No, seriously, I don't, but I found out a lot and I can't wait to share it with you guys. How many people are on OnlyFans? What percentage of the country watches porn? At what age do you stop watching porn? Super interesting, let's tell you.
All right, so as we know, over the summer, President Trump and the Republican Party passed this huge tax cut bill known as the so-called Big Beautiful Bill, also cut funding for social services like Medicaid. But nonetheless, part of this bill would be a tax deduction for, or tips would not be taxed at a certain amount, right? So to avoid any economy-wide shift of earnings into tips, the IRS and Treasury have had to impose some limits. Only people who work jobs that have customarily and regularly received tips can claim the deduction. So on the list of nearly 70 eligible occupations detailed in a proposed regulation in September were digital content creators, entertainers and performers, and dancers, categories that at first blush seem as if they could be a boon for America's sex workers. But it turns out that's not the case, because the Trump administration also added that tips for prostitution or pornographic activity would not be entitled to this new tax break. Okay, so that's the complication here. And when it comes to OnlyFans, and because of the nature of the platform and the diversity of content on that platform, it turns out IRS agents are really gonna have to look at the accounts to determine whether they qualify for this tax break at all. So again, even though OnlyFans is typically associated with sexually explicit content, there are people on there who do other occupations like chefs, fitness trainers, musicians, and comedians, which, look, up to you where you wanna upload your content. I wonder why OnlyFans is the platform they decided on uploading to, considering what OnlyFans is kind of known for. Now, there's no official data on the number of creators who exclusively produce sexual content, but that leads to the other issue: what even is considered sexual content? What if it's a streamer who doesn't get naked but like wears, provocative clothing? Is that considered sexual content? Who knows? So it's unclear whether, let's say, I don't even know if this word is considered okay to use anymore, but I don't know what else I would call them. Okay, provocative dancers. Okay, provocative dancers in various states of undress. Would they be considered ineligible to take advantage of this tax break? We don't know. Are feet pictures considered pornographic? I mean, it is material that some men use to, get their rocks off, but like, is that considered pornographic content? So writing in 1964, the Supreme Court Justice Potter Stewart famously declined to try to define the term, instead admitting, "I know it when I see it." And that's exactly what IRS agents are gonna have to do. So whether or not the IRS tries to come up with its own definition of pornographic activity, enforcing the inclusion would most likely involve, or still involve, auditing taxpayers who report tips from sources like OnlyFans. An IRS agent would have to view a taxpayer's content, decide if it was pornographic, and then deny the deduction for tips, which is, by the way, capped at $25,000. Ultimately, it would be the subjective determination of an IRS examiner or a tax court judge. Sometimes you look at something and it's clearly pornography, but sometimes you look at something and you think, it's subjective. Somebody might be really into it. Now, the adult entertainment industry workers are also worried that this is gonna lead to a clampdown on sex work. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think this is just really about ensuring that people who don't qualify for a tax deduction don't claim it on their taxes. But I'm curious what you think, Cenk.
Yeah, so many parts of the story are so interesting. First of all, a lot of crying about being able to implement this. This is actually one of the few good things in that bill. Most of the overwhelming majority of the bill was giant giveaways to the rich, right? But there, no tax on tips is a good thing, right? And they'll be like, oh, but we don't know who to apply it to. Now people will say, should we give it to Santa Claus performers, clergy, eyelash technicians, chiropractors, pet groomers, which by the way sounds a little dirty. So I say, so what? When it's complicated and it's a tax break for collateralized debt obligations, nobody complains that it's too complicated. They get that done right away, right? So that's just a side note real quick. Then the conservatives asked Trump to exclude porn, as Anna explained to you guys, and sex work. That's actually a huge development in the right wing. They're back to trying to ban porn. If I was them, I wouldn't want to die on that hill, but they've decided to do that. But then they have a second problem. So they're like, yeah, porn is very bad. And that's why the president who slept with a porn actress has banned it from this particular provision. Okay, but on the other hand, hypocrisy has never stopped Donald Trump. Okay, now when you get to OnlyFans, I didn't know there was cooking and yoga on OnlyFans either, right? And so why am I such a boomer on this? Because I'm a public figure. The minute you sign up for something, everybody's gonna know, right? So it's not like I'm like super moral or anything in that regard, and I don't even view it as a form of morality. I reject it as a form of morality. But anyways, but then when you get into the tax, like okay, feet could be porn, but elbow isn't porn. But then if you're doing yoga, you could do it in a non-provocative way, or you could really get downward on that dog, right? If you're cooking for a while, China banned women from eating fruit, particularly bananas, on camera because they had started a whole cottage industry of eating bananas in fascinating ways, right? So now, Anna, before we're out of time, I gotta tell you all the amazing numbers. So it turns out
hold on.
Yeah.
Our politicians eat the banana in front of our faces all day, our day. Okay,
we should ban that.
Keep it real,
right?
I mean, I love that, but go ahead.
Yeah, the porn we should ban is when Netanyahu comes to the White House and Congress, and they all anyway. You get it. So people spend $7.2 million a year on OnlyFans. Now that sounds low, right? Yeah, because I made that up. It's actually $7.2 billion just last year. That's an astounding number, astounding. All right, how many people are on OnlyFans? 4.6 million creators. That's 4.6 million people doing the downward dog business and all of the feet business and everything else. 377 million fan accounts. That's more than the number of people that live in America. So obviously they have international audience as well, but that is a monster number. But wait, the porn numbers are even more interesting. Turns out 67% of men watch porn. And I don't know if you read this part. You know what percentage of women watch porn?
I don't know. Let me take a stab at it though. I think it's a higher percentage than most people think. 60.
Whoa, men are 67 and women are 60?
Men are not 67. Are you insane? It's 100%.
That's what the numbers say. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. To me, it feels like 97, but okay, they say 67. Anyways, for women, it's 41% of women watch porn. I'm actually kind of stunned by that. That's a big number, huge number. Last two here. So the age of people that stop watching porn, kind of on average, etc. Well, 18 to 25-year-olds watch. 57% of them watch porn, men and women, okay? 57%. 26 and older, it drops all the way down to 29%. So apparently 25 is the magic age where you go, maybe I'll just watch the yoga or the cooking show. So I'm also surprised by that. So a lot of surprising things in this, but let them go, let them go. If they're not making a lot of money, which a lot of people on OnlyFans are, but if they're under the 150,000, I wouldn't have done this provision. But the provision passed, it is what it is. So now the IRS will have to watch some porn. Oh, golly gee, I'm sure you're twisting their arm to determine if that's truly porn or not. It'll be okay, you'll survive. every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.